Hello and welcome to another episode of Cryptane Plays Minecraft. So, as you can see, I'm getting some stuff done. But, more on that a little later. First and foremost, let's get right into it. I got a video, link down below. Grandma in a self-driving car, I believe it's a Tesla. If you can remember back in the day, they had videos of like people trying out the Oculus for the first time, being like, "Oh my God, this is so real." Well, this is essentially that. Some person who owns their Tesla put the autopilot feature on and got their grandma to sit in the driver's seat, and they were just blown away. Pretty exciting. Get you a little hyped for automated driving. But it reminded me of a quote that I love from Arthur C. Clarke, which is, "Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic." I've always loved this quote. I think the first time I ever heard it was back in Star Trek. The Next Generation. If you know anything about Star Trek, the Federation watches a lot of planets, but they won't interfere with a race that hasn't reached warp travel yet. But in this particular instance, they ended up on the planet's surface, interfering, not on purpose, but in such a situation where they had to interact with these people, and they were all just awe-inspired. And as you know, Star Trek doesn't have magic necessarily. Everything is all technology-based. And then I believe he has a quote like that in there. And it's true, right? If you think about it, like, just any technology that is just crazy enough. Sorry, I actually forgot to put my little timer on here, which is okay. I'm gonna do that. But yeah, so any sufficiently advanced technology. You think of a caveman back in the day. They wouldn't know. They'd be blown away by a cell phone or being able to talk to people. Even every technology, cars or vehicles traveling at certain speeds, people didn't believe it was possible. You'd start to suffocate if you went too fast, or just couldn't understand why you'd want to interact with people over the telephone. It takes time to write a response and think about your response. People are just used to writing letters, so it's always cool to think of how that works. And one of my biggest fears in life is falling behind in the times and just not understanding technology or falling out of touch. And I so far, for the most part, I haven't. But I always worry that I'm going to fall into some analog state where I'm just like, I can't appreciate what's new and forward thinking. Anyways, though, for the next link, I got Abroad in Japan, which is by Chris Broad. How convenient. And it's a hedgehog cafe that they've opened up in Japan. And it's just a cute little video. He just goes in there and he's interacting with little hedgehogs. Japan has a lot of these cafes, owls and whatnot. I think it's really cool. If you want to interact with these types of animals, really bring up the awareness of how to take care of them and whatnot too. I believe you can even buy hedgehogs there, which is kind of neat. But yeah, it's a cute little video. I'd recommend checking it out. Next thing. Now this is when this came out. I haven't played it yet, granted, but I love this series, Ratchet and Clank. I have loved this series since its first inception back in I believe 2001 on the PlayStation 2, and it's just crazy. And the new one, which is the game based on the movie, based on the game. Basically, it's a reimagining of the first Ratchet and Clank game. And what they've done is they've taken an amalgamation of all the best parts of Ratchet over the years, and they kind of just put it back into the first game. So you're getting roughly the same story of the first game, but with all the tools and advances over time, like a lot of the better weapons and whatnot. The worlds are roughly all the same and everything, but you got a lot of the weapons and upgrades and the things they've learned over the years, and they've implemented in this. And it's really great because it basically it's a great entry point for anybody who's new to the series. I'd highly recommend checking it out. If you own a PS4, definitely Definitely got on that bandwagon. And if you love the series, haven't played it in a while, this is the first big Ratchet and Clank game in a long while. I'd highly recommend it again. The only people that might have a problem with this is they were expecting something that was completely new. It looks great, plays great, but it is still sort of the first game. So it won't be completely newfold. But I mean, this is just an entry point, I believe, for them to start the series back up again. So, I'd recommend getting into this one and then the next one. Who knows where they'll go with that, right? Definitely give that a look if you love the Ratchet and Clank series. One of the best games. Man, it's very addictive with the leveling. It's very fun. It's very happy. You just have a good time. It's easy to get addicted into just leveling up all your weapons and seeing what they all can do. There's a huge upgrade path for all of them. And it's so easy, and you can't miss things. One of my biggest gripes that I have with games is the ability to play a game and then be like, oh, I missed something that I can never go back and get, which is really, really crappy, and it basically makes me struggle with a lot of games, sadly. But in Ratchet and Clank, you can never miss anything. You can always go back and get everything, and then they have New Game Plus, which allows you to redo the whole thing with all your weapons upgraded. So there's always a way to get it at some point. Which is really smart of them, and it allows you just to play it without having to look up walkthroughs or whatever. Just have fun. So it's really good for that. Okay, so the next one is, you know how I love my VR. But Magic Leap has come out with a video showing off their technology, sort of. It's not exactly wearing the headset. We don't know what it looks like or anything like that. But apparently it's a really exciting technology, which is kind of like the HoloLens, but if you know the HoloLens, it has a very narrow field of view. If you it's kind of like, you know how when you hold out your fingers, like you're pretending to take a picture and you put them together, like a square? That's what the HoloLens is kind of like. So it's like, if you're looking through that little square in your fingers, sure, that has the 3D projections on it. But otherwise, the rest you can't see. Apparently, Magic Leap has a lot more broader of a spectrum of what you can see in the 3D and the mixed reality, as they put it. So that seems really good, and they use a very patented technology of, I don't know, it's kind of like wearing glasses where it shoots at that and then the lights shoot at your eyes, so to speak. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not explaining it right, so... But essentially, it allows them to have a higher resolution. You can't see the pixels or anything. And you get a really fluid mixed reality situation. Just another example of where the technology is going. I'm always excited. I hope you are, especially if I keep talking about it. So yeah, check out that video. It's a really interesting example of where technology could go down the road. Could you just imagine wearing a pair of glasses and just having all this information at your fingertips at all times? Basically, a smartphone strapped to your head. But hopefully more imperceptible, not a big bulky thing. So it's pretty cool. Another one that I was looking at is oh son, poor little son, robot inventory taking. So what they've got is they're testing out these robots that are like a tall Segway looking robot. They can go through the store in about an hour, and they can take the inventory of everything. They can also scan it, so that way you'd be able to, like, you got a Metro or wherever you like to shop, Walmart. I guess it's like everywhere. So you'd be able to go into the app, and it would show like the entire store, row by row. You'd be able to look up, and then it would give you directions of exactly how to get there based on your store. So that would be pretty interesting. And then, like I said, it's taking inventory too, all in an hour, basically making jobs a little bit more obsolete, one step at a time. But I'll get more. I'll get more into that a little later. And then another video, which is very pertinent to Minecraft, HTC Vive. There's a VR way of having Minecraft on it. It's basically like this. There's a video, as always. It's basically like this, but instead of moving around, you can kind of click the lob where you go. There is the option to move around if you wish. Your call. It's kind of neat. In the video, you see him actually like physically using the controller to mine. Obviously not as efficient as using a mouse and keyboard, but very immersive. And the thing about VR is always, and it's hard to explain if you've never tried it, is the sense of scale. This doesn't look very big to me, but if I was in VR, that would actually look rather big to me. Everything would look gigantic. Everything would have a more threshold for distance. So, it's always exciting to enter into that world. But I would check that out. He was having a lot of fun checking it out. I think it's Kirk Hamilton from Kotaku who's doing that video. So another thing, if you're a fan of Zelda, which, I mean, like, honestly, who isn't, really? Unless you somehow managed to avoid the series. This has nothing to do with Nintendo officially or anything, but someone has done a rendering of Ocarina of Time in an Unreal Engine. You can see what an updated Ocarina of Time would look like. And it looks fantastic, as always. So it basically just puts Nintendo in a place where it's like, come on, Nintendo, come on. Give us an updated Ocarina of Time. Give us an updated of your classics, which they have been doing with Wind Waker. And I believe Twilight Princess was the most recent one. So it'd be nice if they started updating all their series. I don't see why not. I mean, I would rebuy them if they put the work into it. I love those series, and they're still tried and true classics. Update a couple of the systems, possibly, right? But yeah, I'd be excited to play all that. So next, I was watching an anime series, a Netflix original, Ajin. I'm not entirely sure. But essentially, what the show is about some humans who, which you never know that you're an Ajin until you die. And that is because when you die, you come back to life. And Ajins are essentially immortal. They cannot die. I'm not sure about aging, but it doesn't really get into that. But they cannot die. I don't really want to get into any more of the particulars. There's a whole bunch that goes on. It's a pretty smartly done anime. The style's a little weird. It's kind of like Knights of Sidonia, which is another Netflix original, if you've seen that one. So you might not like the animation that much. We're down here. That's nice. That's nice. You might not like the animation that much, but I gotta give it credit because the one thing I really like about the animation is the fluidity of it. Combat looks really great. There's just something about, because it's like a 3D rendering with drawn backgrounds, that the combat is very, very fluid, which is really, really nice. And then they can afford to actually show it into a depth that makes it, I don't know, I really enjoy the combat with this new animation styling. It has a lot more impact, and they don't hide frames and have like stilled shots or however a lot of anime try to hide these things when they don't have the budget. So it looks really fantastic. An interesting anime for sure. I've been enjoying it. I like the main character mostly because I've always enjoyed the kind of character that has a very logical outlook. So I would recommend checking that out if you're into it at all. As you can see, I'm getting a lot of this done. I only have a little bit more hills. Just this one and these little two ones over here. And then I'm going to start filling this in, and we're going to start getting our projects going. So get excited for that. So anyways, one of the last things I wanted to talk about, and I left it for last on purpose, is I want to talk about universal basic income. They're planning on implementing something like this in Ontario, Canada. So that's pretty exciting. And also in some other places, The Verge is talking about it. The tech sector seems to be very pro universal basic income. And what that is essentially everybody gets an automatic set income that would cover your basic needs, your housing, your needs, on the most basic level, obviously. But everybody, no matter how poor, no matter how rich. And the idea is that way everybody's on even terms, and you can go and get a job and you can push yourself forward, and everybody still pays taxes, obviously. And people who benefit from this the most are the people who don't make very much money or are on welfare, whatever the case may be. But they wouldn't be on welfare anymore because they would have this basic income. And then the rich, they wouldn't benefit that much at all. But everybody's equal in the terms of what they get. And the good thing about this, the idea of this, is that you think about the way that automation is coming into the fold. Like the need for basic human needs to be covered by humans is starting to dwindle with each passing year, right? Oh, okay. So with automated cars, whenever that actually folds out in the transportation business, that's multiple billions of dollars that people that in the workforce driving these trucks around. If they're just automated, well, that saves a lot of time. I'm talking about my robot inventory. If that can just be done by a robot and you don't need a human anymore, that's another job. If you go to a restaurant, you go in, you get a tablet, let's say, that's sitting right there. You can take your order. A little robot shuffles it along. Heck, you could have robots in the back even cooking the foods, right? If they're smart enough and they program the right way, like could you imagine like McDonald's? They basically have a very specific way of doing everything. And if they could make a robot system that they could just implement to all those stores, and you could roll up, and you could just they might have one or two people on staff, but you could just roll up with your phone. You make your order, you pay for it. It rolls up. The robots in the back start cooking everything, and boom, Bob's your uncle. Here's your burger or chicken sandwich or whatever you ordered. I don't know. And human intervention is barely affected. And why wouldn't McDonald's do that ultimately, right? They would roll it in slowly like they do all things, but I mean, if they could save the cost of human labor, why wouldn't they? And at some point, how are you going to be able to get a basic job, right? All of the jobs are essentially a lot of simple-ish things like that. Even my job is relatively simple. I think everything, in some degree, could be done by robots for the most part. And at some point, if everything starts to become automated, a system like this needs to be in place. Because why would Walmart hire anybody if you could just walk in, grab things off a shelf in your shopping cart, walk out, and it automatically scanned everything in your shopping cart, it automatically put it on your credit card, and boom, you didn't have to interact with anybody. Nobody's there, no cashiers, nobody's stocking the shelves. Got a little robot doing that too. Got the truck rolling that's automated to the back. I mean, all these companies would love to implement these if these worked really efficiently for obvious reasons, and it just simply makes the rich richer, right? So in that scenario, I mean, you're going to have a lot of people with less jobs. I mean, back in the day, it used to be farms. Everybody used to be a farmer, essentially, right? Then automation in the factory work came into play, and now that's becoming more and more automated as time goes on. So it's what do we do, right? So this is a way to combat that, so to speak, where everybody would get a basic income and whatnot, and then you can go on to pursue the things that you'd want to pursue, go to school, get your education, or whatever it is, and go into the more finer arts that maybe a robot can't do just yet, right? I think even a doctor could essentially one day, I mean, we're talking years, 50 years, 100 years, who knows how many years, but they could be replaced by robots too. But right now, you could get your education. It would at least last for your generation, presumably. And you could become a doctor, which you might not have had the option before because, you're trying to live and make minimum wage or whatever. But if you had your basic income and if schooling was a little bit more affordable, boom, you go do that. And the possibilities are set out ahead of you. So it's really exciting. Who knows how long all this stuff would take? But as a fan of Star Trek, the future where everything is taken care of for you, essentially, and you're free to pursue your dreams, and your ability to provide your worth to society, so to speak, is basically up to you. So I'm pretty excited for all this, naturally. And some people are against it, sure, but I mean it's inevitable. I mean, people who have money want automation because if it makes things cheaper, you're going to do the cheapest thing. It's, the lowest barrier for entry. So. Well, I just wanted to go into that a little bit. I thought it was really interesting. If you have any thoughts, let me know. all three of you will watch it or whatever. I don't know. So, one last thing. Jason Bourne, the new movie with Matt Damon, Finally, the trailer just got released. I'll put a link to that. Definitely check it out. Looks like fun. If you love the Jason Bourne series, why wouldn't you? Oh, this is getting dark. If you love the series, why wouldn't you love the new one? It looks good. It is just a trailer though, so check it out. Yeah, it looks exciting. Jason Bourne, Matt Damon, he's back. Let's get it going. Let's get. Yeah, I'm excited. Anyways, I got a link for that, so check that out. Hopefully the next time you come back, I'll have all this cleared out. It shouldn't take me too long, really. A couple episodes from a show or whatever. And we'll be good to go. So thanks for watching. And peace out.